Hello everyone, welcome back to a new tutorial. In this case, one I haven't done before. In this one, it's going to be about custom add-on weapons. Specifically, this is going to be for shard weapons, so a custom knife or a custom sword, katana, something like that. Whatever you want to put in that category. It's been requested quite a bit, so I figured why not actually get it out there now. So, as per usual, I'm expecting you to have GIMS Evo installed, 3ds Max, OpenIV, and obviously a FiveM server that you can put this on and test on. So, if you don't have this, get to it. Obviously also a model that you can use. So either you create a custom knife or find one or whatever. That's gonna be on you. So, the only thing in this case that I'm gonna provide is a resource that has all the meta data already made for you. So it's pretty much plug and play, but we'll get to that in a bit. I'll just show you. So this is gonna be obviously in the description, but also in my Discord, so you can download it there. It has the different files. That's the only thing you need to download from me. So, first things first, this is the knife I'm gonna be using, or spear as it was, that I have turned into a knife. So let's open GIMS, just so it's open. And then open up OpenIV, and then we're gonna find the machete, which is gonna be the one that we're gonna use as our base. So we're gonna see the machete. So I don't know if it's machete with 2 T's or 1 T that is correct, but for some reason Rockstar is using both. So we're just gonna select the top one here. Gonna filter by machete again, so we're gonna have these 3 files. So obviously the model and the textures. So we're gonna export this. In my case, I have a folder called tutorial, and then one called base. So I'm gonna just export to that. And then we're gonna export these 2 as well. And then we can just minimize OpenIV for now. There we go. So I'm gonna go to import. And then obviously desktop tutorial base. We're gonna import our knife or machete. I'm gonna select base, that's where we have the textures. Click OK. Gonna let it do its thing. Everything takes so much longer when I'm recording. This laptop is horrendous. Alright, we're gonna select the collision here and just hide it for now. And then, first thing we want to do is obviously we want to align our model with the machete. So in this case, you can see I have the handling part, or the handle here. So I want to rotate it 90 degrees to the right. Like so. Is that correct? I'm also going to put this to flat color and material enable transparency off. Yeah, and then I'm gonna move it up so the handle fits with the other one, like so. There we go. That looks about right. So, what you want to do, obviously, so if it looks a bit off, it's because the machete itself is not actually centered either. You can move it as well just to fit. So just base it on the machete's position. Make sure that it kind of fits. So that should be good. So I want to open up the material editor. If you don't have the old material editor, you can hold left click on this button and then select it here. I'm gonna go to the material picker and then select the machete. And then we're gonna select our custom knife here and apply that to it, like so. And the reason I do this always is because skinning and models have a tendency to move around when you attach or do things with skinning. So to prevent that from happening, it's just easier to attach your model to the old one. It prevents things from shifting around or just straight up breaking. So I'm going to select the machete. I'm going to go into our editable mesh. I'm going to go into polygon mode. I'm going to hit Control A to select everything. Down here in material and set ID, I'm going to set this to 10 and apply that. The reason I'm doing that is because that I can select ID number 10 and just straight up delete it after. So we're going to go back out, go to attach, and then we attach our model like so. And then in this case actually, I'm gonna select ID 10 and then I'm gonna click on detach. I kind of want to keep this model around to use it for references, in this case vertex colors. So I'm gonna detach it as object 1 or as reference. Click on OK. And now we have it out here, so we can just hide it. So obviously the knife is looking a bit weird. That's because the unwrap for the machete does not fit our knife. So we want to fix that. So obviously I hope you have Photoshop DTS plugin. So I'm going to open up Photoshop here real quick. I'm going to go into our tutorial folder. I already have my textures for the knife. So in our base, I'm gonna go to, just want to double check here. So there's a lot of textures in here that we're not going to be using. So this one, and these with the blood attached. These are not going to be used because custom weapon, I don't know how to make custom weapons work with these camos, as they're called, where if you hit somebody, it applies a new texture which has blood on it. It works if you do a replace. So keep that in mind. So in theory, we do not need these files, these 4 files. We just need these. And then the same goes for in here. Whoops. So we're not going to delete these for now, because actually no, we can delete these. We only need this file and this file and then this file. So we need the actual color itself, we need the normal map, we need the specular map, and then this dpel, just because. So we're going to open these files, these 3 files here. Everything is so slow. So this here is our specular map, this here is our normal map, and this here is our color or base. So obviously, if we're gonna do it the right way, we're gonna make a version that is high quality or high definition, and then a lower definition version. So we're gonna go to image size. I'm gonna do 1024. Gonna do the same with the normal map. Gonna do the same with the specular. The reason we're doing this is because we're gonna make a version that is for like super high texture quality and for normal texture quality. Alright, so we're gonna go to V camo, which is the base color. We're gonna go back to where we have our actual knife textures. So in this case, I'm gonna go spear base color, which is the one that goes into the camo, like so. I'm gonna click on OK. I'm gonna go to normal map. I'm gonna do the same. Click on OK. And I'm gonna go to the specular and do the same. I'm gonna hide this. In this case, it has a transparency layer for some reason, so I'm just gonna add a layer underneath and make that black, like so. So there we go. This means I can play around with these colors in the specular map, but that doesn't matter in this case. So we're gonna save this. But in this case, we're gonna go back to the base, because this is the high, as it says plus high. This means this is the high quality version. So we're gonna save this in here first, and it's gonna be for the V camo. Yes, I know. Calm down. I'll save that as DXT. I actually thought it disabled that. Gonna do the same with the normal map. Go to base, go to high. I'll save that on top of the normal map. Not this one over here, but this one. Obviously, this isn't. You can do this in a different order. We're gonna have to rename some things after. You can do this. You can rename things before if that's what you want. There's no right or wrong, but. And then we're gonna save the specular map here, like so. And we're gonna go back to our camo. We're gonna make sure it has the this logo in the lower right, which means it's a smart object, so it's better at resizing. So now what we can do is go to image, go to image size, and then we can go back to 512. Save this. And this time it's gonna be saved in the Machete LR. So it's gonna be saved on top of the 512 camo. So 512 base color. Again, DXT. Obviously, if you want to do this in 4K, you can do it, but please don't. We don't do these absurd fucking non-optimized texture sizes. And then there. So that should be all of them. So we're actually done with Photoshop now. We'll just close it down. It's gonna free up a few more resources in my case. And now if we go back, it should update. So now we have our knife spear with the correct texture applied. So what we want to do now is in here we want to rename this to, in this case we're going to rename it to custom knife. And the reason we want to do that is because that's what I have named the resource. I'll show you when we get to it as well. So we want to do this for all of the names. Like so. Yep. And the reason I kept this reference here around is because I want to use this for vertex painting. So I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to select our knife. I'm going to click on Edible Mesh. And then in the modifier list, I'm going to go to Vertex Painter. I'm going to apply this. I'm going to click on the color picker. And then I'm going to select the weapon over here. So in this case, the weapon is yellow. So we want to apply that to the knife by using this. And you can see if it's applied by clicking on vertex, you can see it's yellow. Make sure you put it back, because if you collapse this into the knife, it's going to keep being yellow. So you want to do the same thing, Edible Mesh, go to Vertex, Paint. And then down here, you want to go to Vertex Alpha. You want to go into the color, and you want to set this to 100% red. And then you want to paint all. Again, you can select this to see if it's attached. It is. And then close, and then vertex collapse to. This is something I've seen. The alpha channel is always red. If you don't do that, it's gonna have weird effects, like you looking shiny at weird times. So make sure you do that. We also want to make sure that our smoothing is correct. So we're gonna go into editable mesh, polygon mode, select everything, and then click on auto smooth. It looks alright. In this case, we could go and make the edges its own smoothing group just to have that edge to it. But again, this is something more advanced for people that know how smoothing groups work. So in this case, we're just gonna go with the auto smoothing. I'm gonna hide this one again. Now we're just gonna fix the collision real quick. So in here we have the OX1. You want to unhide that. You can see it's a bit too big. Gonna go into front mode by hitting F. And then we want to scale it and move it a little bit. So we're gonna move it to around the center, and then we want to scale it over here. Don't use the scaling tool, that's gonna break it. So height. Let me make sure we have it roughly correct. So 9 looks alright. And now I'm gonna go left, see how that looks. That's a bit too wide. There we go. And then so the width can do that a bit better. 0.5. There we go. That looks about right. And then just to double check, we can check what texture this is using by going back into the material editor using the drop tool. And for some reason they're using wood. I want to change this to metals, metal solid, small. We can go back to hiding this. And we're pretty much ready to export. So we have custom knife LR. Custom knife LR. I am just gonna double check if that's the name we go with. FiveM custom knife LR. So that is correct. All right. Now we're gonna export this. In my case, it might take a while because slow PC. So in the tutorial folder, I'm gonna create a new one called output. I usually do this. And click on OK. And we should have our knife in here with the gun root and everything. Gonna click on continue. So while it's doing this, I'm gonna go back into OpenIV. So I'm gonna go into my mods folder. You can basically do this wherever inside the mods folder. I'm just gonna create a new folder in here. I'm gonna create a folder called custom knife and put that in there. I'm gonna go into our base, and then I'm gonna take the machete LR and machete LR high and drag both of these into our folder. What I want to do now is I want to rename these two as well to custom knife and machete custom knife. I'm going to open up the LR, the one without the high. I'm going to select the ones that we don't need in this case. So these here. And then we have these 4 files, which is our the ones we want to use. It doesn't matter that they're still called machete in here. That's fine, because as a reference, that's what we have used in our material. So it's not going to overwrite anything. So don't worry about this. If we wanted to do this 100% correctly, we should rename these and then define them in our shader material. But for now, this is all right. So we're just going to save that. Going to open the high version as well. Going to do the same. Delete these. And then save. So so this is done, and while we wait for this, we might as well add our resource. So our custom underscore weapons melee resource, we want to add that to our FiveM server. So in my case, I have my FiveM server on my desktop, or my desktop. And then in our resources, go to whatever. And then I'm just going to delete this, because I'm a good tutorial maker. And we're going to take our resource and just drop it in here. And then we can just check that everything is correct. So we have our weapon custom knife meta file, which is basically the stats for the file, or for the knife, where all the names are defined. Down here is where you define the model name. But you also define your model name in archetypes. As you can see, we have the name in here and the texture dictionary. So in theory, you can actually share a texture dictionary with multiple models. So you don't have to have like 10 dictionaries if you use the same. It's just optimization things. So other than that, we should be pretty much good to go. If you wanted to create let's say you wanted to create a second add-on knife, you would create a new meta file where you would call this, rename basically everything called custom knife to custom knife 2. That would be a second meta file. So you would call it custom knife 2. You would also create a new meta file called that custom knife 2 and add that into the FX manifest. You know what? I'm going to do that in another tutorial by itself, so I can show you. It's pretty straightforward when you already have like the base add-on created. So not to make it too confusing. So everything should be all right. Let's go to our stream folder. That should be empty. And in here, we're just going to create a folder called custom knife. Just minimize that for now. And we have our custom knife, and then we should be done. Go to our output folder, have our custom knife here, and just drag that into OpenIV. That means we have 3 files just like the original. So if we open this up, it should use the texture dictionaries, as you can see here. So that looks about right. So we're going to take the 3 files in our resource. So in our resources, in the stream folder, in the custom knife folder, we're going to drop these 3 files in here. We're going to go to our resource server config. We're going to ensure the resource name. So in this case, it's going to be custom weapons melee, like so. Gonna save that. I'm also gonna save my scene here. I'm just clearing up some resources in my case because my PC is so slow, just to make it easier. So gonna minimize, and then we're gonna actually fire up the server. We should be good to go. So I'm gonna minimize this and then run the server. You obviously need something that can add custom weapons. I use vMenu. You can use custom resource if you have that, or vMenu is really good for these kind of things, for testing especially. Oof. It's gonna be so much fun. uh, come on. FiveM. Well, I guess as per usual, while we're loading in, I can plug my Patreon and thank the people that are supporting me in this case. For like, it's helping me out to pay the bill for my internet. It's actually terrible. But again, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate everyone watching these videos and giving thumbs up and everything. So I'm glad you're sticking with me. So if you don't know what weapon in this case we're going to be spawning, you can find that in the resource name. So in the, not the FX manifest, but in the if you open up the custom knife.meta, and down here we have the name, which is weapon underscore custom knife. So that's going to be the weapon we want to spawn when we're in game. I'm just double checking if everything is correct. Custom knife.meta weapon, yep, we should be good. Oh god, it's gonna be so laggy. So V menu, player related options, weapon options, spawn weapon by name, weapon, custom, knife. And there we go. We have our custom knife. So I might use this in another tutorial to show how tins work and then how components work as well. So components is an extension for the weapon where you can basically add multiple models and kind of switch out the model on the fly instead of having to create multiple add-ons. And tinting is where you can kind of change the color of said weapon to different kind of tints. So let's try this out real quick. Let's stab somebody. So again, this might be a weird match because this is based on the machete, but it works. Oh, you can see how everything is so slow at loading in. And if you're wondering why, oh my god, it's so laggy. If you're wondering why I'm invisible, it's because I've been doing some shots and testing stuff. Bro, I can't even stab the guy. Another thing with custom add-ons is that they don't work when it comes to like the sounds. So that's why components might be more of an interest to people, because it keeps those mechanics that like the block mechanic and the sounds and everything. So components might be more interesting to some people, but yeah, this is a custom add-on knife. That's about it. That's all there is to it. So I appreciate you watching, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one. Bye!